have another opportunity to speak with an It Works success story, Presidential Melynda Berryman. Just listen up, take some notes. This is really going to be a treat for you guys. She has a tremendous story. So Melynda, if you will, just go ahead and start off by telling us your story.
Okay, well, thanks Renee for having me on here today. I really appreciate it. I hope this, will hopefully give someone some hope out there. um, you know, I started It Works in 2008, and I have been blessed to be a stay-at-home mom for, well, 27 years now. And I have four children. And so, we've just had a great life, and God's blessed us, and my husband's, always made great money, and we've owned a couple of businesses and different things like that. So, not saying that everything was always hunky dory, but at the time when I was introduced with It Works, really wasn't looking to become a distributor, or didn't really even need to make that much extra money. So, but I did want to have a party, and I wanted to try the products because I had four C-sections, and it sounded good. I heard a little bit about it from Melody McFarland, and so I thought, well, heck, I'll just try it, but I definitely don't want to sell it. And so I had a party, and I actually kind of forgot about my party. So if this kind of gives anybody any hope here, but I'm a bit forgetful with four kids. If you can only imagine, my son called it. I have said that I have momnesia, and I do, and still have a touch of it. So, but forgot about my party, and luckily Melody called me on the way and said, "Hey, I'm on the way to your party." So I didn't have the heart to tell her that I totally forgot about it, didn't want to cancel it. So I ended up getting on the phone and calling four or five of my closest friends and people that I could get there, in 5 minutes flat. And so we didn't have any food, water, or anything. So you definitely don't ever have to have everything just perfect to do this, or have a party, or even talk to anybody. So my friends came over, we wrapped, we all had such amazing results that um, two of my friends wanted to sell it. And I had already told Melody, I'm not going to sell it. I don't want to be a distributor. I'm not a salesperson. This is not anything that I'm interested in doing. And especially because I'd always kind of rode along on my husband's coattails and did whatever he did. I never really took charge of anything on my own. So I was content with that. I was content staying at home. So this was just something fun that I was going to, try. But when my friends said they wanted to sell it, I was like, wow, really? And one of them was actually a chiropractor's wife. So I really respected her opinion. And I thought, okay, well, maybe there's something to this. So I ended up signing up as a distributor. And let's just say I didn't come out of the gate, full steam ahead. I kind of dabbled in it. My husband calls it playing the hokey pokey for probably about at least 2 or 3 years, And like I said, the need wasn't there, that I was just, really needing to make some extra money. But fast forward those 3 years, and, you know, life changed, and we had a couple of curveballs thrown at us. And me and two of my children had been diagnosed with a life threatening heart condition, and we had pacemaker defibrillators put in. And so, needless to say, we had a lot of medical bills piling up, and you know, um, we just weren't prepared for that, because at the time the economy was really going downhill as well. And my husband had actually been taken off of one of his dealerships. He was big stops manager at a dealership, and he ran two of them, and so they took him off of one. And pretty much that took about $3,000 a month or more, a little bit more than that, out of our income. And that was the cushion. You know what I'm saying? So once that rug was pulled out from under us, I started thinking, wow, maybe I need to do something. Maybe I really need to do something with It Works. And so, especially at one point when, your kids get older, they want to drive cars, and that takes insurance and all that. That was kind of where we were just stretched to our limit. But then, they want to go to college too, right? And when my oldest son came to me and told me the college that he wanted to go to, it was just way out of our budget. And, I was looking at him trying to decide, like, okay, do I tell him that we really can't afford this? And that we didn't even if with as much money as my husband made, we really didn't even qualify for a student loan for him. And of course, we didn't have the savings that we, you know, needed to be able to put him through the college that he wanted to go to, because we had to pay, the medical bills, and of course, you add credit card debt and all that kind of stuff. And we'd lost money on some other business ventures that we were working on. So tight. And that's kind of where the rubber met the road. It was like, okay, I've got to figure out, how I'm going to do this. And the only option that I had that I could really see doing anything was It Works, because I could go and get a part-time job, which I did. I tried to do several other things besides It Works because I didn't think it was for me, and I didn't think that I could do it, really, honestly. I think that was what it was. I didn't believe enough in myself. I believed in the products, but I didn't believe in myself enough to think that I could do this. Melody was out flitting around all across the United States and doing her thing, but she always kept in touch with me. And so, when she told me she was how much money she was making at that point, I was like, wow, I think, she's making that much. I think I could just make a portion of that and I would be happy. So I finally made my mind up, and I'll never forget it. It was just like something came over me. It was like a decision that I knew I had to do this. There was no more maybe, what if, you know, um, none of that. It was like I had to do this because I had to have $3,000 a month to, put my son through the college that he wanted to go to pay off some more medical bills, and just a lot of other things were happening, and I had to do it. There wasn't any other way around it. So I made my mind up. I was going to do it, and a lot of things still hit us. I mean, a lot of you probably don't even remember. We had website issues. We had back order on wraps, and wow, that was a challenge. But it was really exciting because, to me, I'd been in the business for almost 4 years. We'd never had a back order on wraps, so I knew something was going on. Something was really different about this, and so. That was when things started changing. And I was doing it. I don't care if I was sick. I had surgery. I think me and two of my kids had surgery. Um, the same year that I went presidential. So it was everything was coming against us. The devil just kept throwing all these obstacles in our way. And I remember thinking, before I really got serious about this, all of the reasons and all of the excuses why I couldn't do it. Oh well, I have 4 kids, and I didn't really want to, leave them all the time. And we didn't really have the money. We didn't have, my husband wasn't doing it. That's a whole nother thing. I went to probably, I think, 4 conferences by myself without my husband. Um, Probably the first 2 or 3, maybe 1 or 2 team members, and then it started growing. But my husband wasn't with me, and that was really hard for me because we're very close. And it was something that, like I said, I had to do this on my own, and I've never done anything like this on my own. But I did it. I was like, I don't care what I have to do, I'm going to do it. He wouldn't even take the products. Honestly, nobody in my family would. And my daughter and him actually kind of both decided to start taking the products all at the same time because they were sick all the time. First of all, they had migraines, and my husband had been diagnosed with diabetes, so he was sick. And I'm just running circles around everybody. I'm like, don't even tell me how sick you are because you won't even take the products. But once they started taking the products, oh my gosh, everything changed because they didn't have migraines anymore. My husband didn't even have to take his medications. Um, my daughter got so excited because started losing weight like crazy, and then everybody wanted to know what she was doing. So it was just like everything came together all at the same time. It was like I pushed through those barriers that were holding me back. Even though lots of times right before that, I really wanted to quit. I'll be honest with you. I was stressed, struggling with a lot of the things that were hitting us. But, first of all, Melody said, you know what, you're one person away from changing your life. And that is so true. Um, and it's always the hardest right before a huge breakthrough. And every single time that I look back and I think when I was the most discouraged, I missed a lot of goals that I set for myself. I think I beat myself up a lot. I compare myself to other people. Maybe I didn't do this as fast as the next person or whatever. So instead of focusing on the great things that I've done, um, I focused on the things that I missed, the goals that I missed. And the challenges that I had. But I just had to totally change my way of thinking. I had to keep my Bible verses in front of me, plastered all over the house, in the car, um, books everywhere. If you could see my desk right now, oh my gosh, I've got probably, let's see, two books here. Oh gosh, here's another one. So, I mean, I'm always reading books. I might not finish it. um, and they're all over the house. They're in my car, but I'm constantly putting, positive stuff in my brain. I have to, because I do have a tendency to kind of wallow around in self pity or, focus on the things that I shouldn't be focusing on. So once I made my mind up that I don't care what happens, if the hair lifts the king, I'm doing this thing. Things just started happening. And another little tidbit that really changed everything for me is that I didn't give up. I didn't quit following up with people, because I have one distributor that I worked on for probably at least 2 years. We just kept messaging each other back and forth, and we never could get together. But finally, she said, "Hey, come wrap me." And so I went and wrapped her. She became a loyal customer. I think I don't think we can talk about how much you lost, but it was just a little bit. But she was so excited that she signed up as a loyal customer. And then fast forward a few months later, she signs up as a distributor. And what it took me 4 years to do, took me 4 years to go double diamond. Okay, I'm kind of all over the place here, but it took me 4 years to get to double diamond. That leg um, went double diamond in 4 months. So in 4 months, my whole business changed. That one person that I kept messaging and kept talking to for 2 years. And from there, it's just like my checks doubled and tripled within just a few months. And I'll be honest with you, it was right before that I was probably the most discouraged and the most ready to give up on myself. It's not that I didn't believe in the business, it's just that I just didn't believe in myself. I didn't think I could do this. So I don't know if that helps anybody, but once I realized that, it's just pursuing and keeping doing it, even if it's not as fast as what you think it should be, or, the way that you think that it should be. It's what is God's plan? That's what it is. It's not mine. I had these goals set for myself, but God had a different plan. But He still got me to where I thought that I was supposed to be. I might have taken the long way around, but so I was double diamond, and then that next year I went triple in presidential within about 4 months, I
Wow.
think. So
It's such an incredible story. And I have had the pleasure of being able to listen to you speak on stage. And one thing I love about your story is that you never gave up, that you kept pushing. And, it's funny because we hear these rock star stories of people who, they go ambassador within a year, less than a year, 7 months, 8 months, 9 months. Not everyone has to have that story. Think about, and someone told me this one time, and it was really an eye opener for me. Think about the income of an ambassador diamond. Okay, it's like what, 590 some odd thousand. Would you be willing to work 8 to 10 years in this business diligently for 8 to 10 years to make that income? Naturally, everybody would be willing to work that. So we can't beat ourselves up if we don't get to a certain rank in a certain amount of time that we, preordain for ourselves. And I just love that story, Melynda, because you're that story of breaking through the barrier, no matter what was thrown at you. Have you seen that that picture where it's it's two people digging a cave, and on the bottom it's that one person, and they're walking away, and they're that close to the breakthrough, to getting diamonds?
yeah, exactly.
And there's so many of us, we don't have the foresight to look ahead and just to keep going, and we give up right before our big breakthrough. And it is true in what a lot of the stories that I've heard, that before that big breakthrough came that strong rut or that big plateau in their business.
Hmm.
So thank you so much for sharing that. And, I'm going to skip around because I think it's important, especially based on your story, for us to go ahead and talk about color personalities. We in It Works talk a lot about color personalities. We talk about the red being the driven, money focused, business minded, really just tunnel vision. I see the dollar signs and I'm going after it. There's the blue, which is all about having fun and living it up and having those parties and what fun can I have and life of the party. And then the green is the very detail oriented. I want to read all the ingredients and read all the rules and be organized and have everything and laid out. And then you've got your yellows who this is how I talk about yellows: hugs and kisses and butterflies. And, I just want to help somebody and love somebody. And each personality plays their own role in It Works, but we also tend to find that each color has their own journey with It Works. So my question to you is, what color personality are you, and how have you adapted your leadership style based on the understanding of the color personalities?
That's a great question. I'm definitely a yellow, probably 85% yellow. I
Are
have
you
a slight,
still?
what?
Are you still a very, very strong yellow?
Yes, I am. And I mean, that's just who I am, and I can't change that. And sometimes that's another thing that I beat myself up about. Um, I feel like I'm too nice sometimes or whatever, but that's who God made me. So, I mean, I have to go with that, and I can't change who I am. But, um, I have a little bit of definitely have some red that's coming out as I get older. And as I learn how more to be a leader, because I don't like to hear people's excuses. I mean, I'll just be honest with you because I had so many of them myself. So you can't give me an excuse or then you can't throw that at me that I haven't already been through. Like I said, I had to turn around all of my excuses into reasons why I built this business. So when people give me their excuses, that little bit of red that's in there comes out, and it's like, you know what? You can't wallow around in that anymore. You've got to get over it. You've got to get over yourself. You've got to do this just like I did. So, the blue in me comes out sometimes because I do like to have fun, and that was one thing that really attracted me to this business is that we have a lot of fun. It's just not all work and struggles. It's a lot of fun, and we like to reward ourselves and the girls' trips and stuff like that. So I'm a little bit of everything, but I have absolutely no green. I'll just be honest with you right now. Like I said, if you can see my desk right now, oh my goodness. I can find something, but nobody else can. So organization is definitely not my strong suit.
As a leader, of course, you have people on your team who are all variations of the color scheme. How has your leadership changed to adapt to those different personalities?
Well, I think for a yellow, it's easier to adapt because, I'm always putting myself in somebody else's shoes. How would they feel? I mean, that's just part of my personality. So it'll be hard for me to say how would a red be able to do that or adapt. But I think everybody has learning to do to be a good leader. So those are things that you have to, read books and make sure that you're always trying to be a better person, be a better communicator, and that's where these books do come in handy. And if it's not natural for you to be able to relate to other people, you got to figure out how. So I think that is very important because you don't want to blow people out by being too red, you know, but you just have to learn a good balance.
Awesome. Um, you talked a lot about your journey with It Works, and I think that you already hit on this a little bit. But if you would just expound on it a little bit more, what was that point? What was that trigger for you? That turning point in your business? If you'll just, I know you talked about it a little bit in your story, but if you'll just talk about what made you switch into full blast mode, that was the trigger for you.
hmm I think it's like I said, like you think life is going to be one way, but then when you realize that like the rug is getting pulled out from under you, it was almost like I hate to say desperation, but it was almost for us because we didn't have a choice. It was either do or die, basically. And so I had to dig deep down inside of me and find that part of my fight. It's like that fight song. I love that song. It makes me cry just thinking about it because that's the point that you have to get at sometimes. Now, if you're just doing this as a hobby and just to have fun, then that's one thing. But if you need this like so bad that your family depends on it, or you could be losing your house or your cars. And if you're in that situation, that's when you've got to dig down and find the fight in you. I don't know if anybody has seen the movie Joy yet, but that's an awesome movie. You have to see that. And it reminds me so much of myself because that's the point that she got. Like at the lowest that she could get at that point, that's when you dig down and you find that fight. It's going to make you do whatever you have to do. And I've had people ask me, like, what's your system or do you have a system? Like, I don't have a system. My system was do anything and everything that I could possibly do all day long for my business. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially if you don't have any green in you.
That's right. I don't. So, I mean, I couldn't even tell you what my system is. It's just do anything and everything that I possibly can all day long, every day.
I
That's
love
just,
it. We talk a lot about why and it works. Like, what is your why? What's your reason for doing this? And I think sometimes that there's a lot of people that are in this business whose whys just aren't strong enough. We have that saying, if your why doesn't make you cry, then it's not strong enough. Because you don't necessarily have to have that life altering situation where you're going to lose your house or lose your cars to be able to kick it up to the next level. You just have to want it badly enough.
yeah.
And so when we talk about that why being strong enough, you've got to dig deep and find out what it is that would make you work this business as diligently as someone who would lose their house if they didn't make that check for the next month.
Hmm.
It's just, and there's no other way to really impress that upon people um, until they figure it out for themselves.
It's
Um,
I mean, it's just like a decision, and you're like going to dig your heels in no matter what. And if it's staying plugged in with people, the calls. I mean, really, honestly, that's the only thing that kept me in on the times that I just wanted to give up. You know, to get on a call or pick up the phone and call Melody. And honestly, that was hard for me to do because I knew she was busy. I just didn't feel like well, I just won't call her. I don't. Or I don't want to whine. But you definitely, if you ever have issues, you want to call up your upline, you
mhm.
know, and throw up and not down. So that's really important. But just hold on to somebody, something that you can call when you're really discouraged, and somebody that's gonna to help you and encourage you and take you to the next level. But the meetings and the calls and all that are really, really important for that. And that's one way to be able to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Another thing that we find in this industry is that some people hit that point because they've ran out of their warm market. A lot of people do that relatively quickly, depending on how quickly they start their business. I know for me, I came from, I had been involved in one company, and for me, it was more of a direct selling mindset of, sell the product, make the commission, and that's how I'd make my money. I didn't understand residual income of building a team. And so I didn't do that for 6 months. And I was just selling to people. But what's powerful is once you figure out the simplicity of it works, but also when you figure out how to reach outside of your warm market is when a lot of people really turn this into a serious business. So what is something that you did as a new distributor or someone who had ran out of their warm market to keep your business going?
Mhm. Well, I mean, since I've been in for a while and really worked my business the old-fashioned way, I guess you could say, we had a lot of parties, a lot of blitzing, but we didn't have blitz cards back then, but we did have business cards. And like I said, you know, I was just a mom. I had never been a salesperson. I had never done anything like this really. So, but when I decided to do it, I went out and pounded the pavement. I started going to salons. I started going to tanning, salons. I started making phone calls to businesses. I mean, I did whatever it took. I did expos. Those are a great way to build your business. I especially love doing the local expos because, or just little booths at your elementary school or whatnot, because then you could connect with the people in your community. So I still even like doing that. I think I did every elementary school fall festival in my area for several years until I finally, got enough people on my team that I could I think I had everyone booked in our area, but they were all with other people. And that's when it really gets exciting. So don't overlook those. Um, and, I wasn't big on Facebook, but I'm learning. I'm still learning that. I still reach out to people. I still connect with people. And so, and I never give up. I mean, even after 7 years, I still have people that have been following me on Facebook and that'll come to me and say, okay, I'm ready to do it now. You know, I've been
Isn't
watching you
that
for
amazing?
8 years. Yeah. So I'm never running out of people. I'm always planting seeds. So I'm always, getting new people all the time. I'm always, talking to people, blitzing people everywhere I go. So,
And that
and I don't have a huge warm market either because like I said, been a stay at home mom. I didn't have a huge circle of friends that I could, get to join this with me. But I figured it out. I just had to figure it out.
And that's huge for this industry is understanding the concept that we are our marketing. We are the ones who are responsible. No one else is going to get our name out there. We are becoming a household name, but we're definitely not a household name yet. I mean, I still blitz people who have never heard of it. So constantly be talking. Now, network marketing is a unique industry. It's very different than any other industry out there. What is something that you found? What is a tip that you could give to someone for finding success in network marketing?
Well, it's just connecting with people, just like what we've been talking about. That's it. And you don't have to know a lot of people to be able to do that. You just have to be willing to talk to them. I remember joining a couple of groups back 3 years ago on Facebook, just mom groups, that I could connect with. And, I played tennis. I got involved with things and connecting as friends first. And then just, you don't have to always be trying to get somebody to join your team. You can just be friends with people and let them see, you know, and ask you, what do you do? It's just a natural thing. So it's just something that, you know, comes natural to me. I love connecting with people. That's part of who I am. But if that's not your thing, you can get involved with a lot of different groups and meet people and, do it that way. But networking is an awesome industry. And you know what helped me a lot too, Renee, is when I realized when somebody asked me what I do, now I tell them, you know what, I'm a network marketing professional, or
Mhm.
I own my own multi-million-dollar company. I own my own health and wellness company because we do. I mean, that's amazing to be able to say that. So stop treating it like a rinky-dink business or a home-based business or a hobby. Treat it like the multi-million-dollar business that it is.
It's so true. It is all about mindset that we look at ourselves
Mm-hmm.
and that we treat ourselves like entrepreneurs because that's what we are.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times, because people look at network marketing sometimes as a hobby, or that's what that woman at church does, or people do that as a hobby on the side. But this is a legitimate business that makes lots of money. I don't know if you ever heard the story about one of the distributors who was in the airport, and she said that she was wearing her It Works gear, and somebody walked up to her and said, hey, do you work for It Works? And she said, yes, obviously I do. And they said, well, I am with the company that writes the checks for multiple network marketing companies. We're the pay accounts. And It Works, you have more people who make big bucks compared to any other company.
Right.
Go ahead.
Get more women, like 80% of people that are successful in network marketing are women. I think is one of the statistics.
Yeah, and out of all the women, I think one of the statistics too is 80% of women, or there's some high statistic of women who make over $100,000 do it through network marketing.
Right. And you know what's funny about that, Renee, is that I'll never forget the first year that I went over $100,000 a year. I didn't even know it, but my husband actually got the 1099 in the mail. And so we're laying at the pool, and we're talking about it, the fact that I had earned over $100,000 that year. And I was like, yeah, I think I've only been doing this like 5 years, and I make over $100,000 a year. And I said, Willie, haven't you been in your industry or whatever for 30 years? Now, he made a little bit more than that, granted, but he's like, yeah, you're right. I've been doing this for 30 years, and you make almost as much money as me in 5.
Right.
So even though I might not have been the fastest person that ever built this business, if it took you 5 years to make over $100,000 a year, would it be worth it? There wasn't anything else out there that I could do to make $100,000 a year. So it was totally worth it. And now, 3 years later, my husband, I was able to retire him from his job, his 6-figure income job, just this past year. So what a blessing.
I'm excited for you guys. I remember the day that I saw him post the video of him, we call it rewiring, but that was his last day at his job, and how life altering, for all these years, that has been your single source of income before you started It Works. And you guys have become so successful in It Works that his 6-figure income is so insignificant compared to what you're making that you'd rather bring him home and do this together. That's powerful. Are you still with me? You froze up a little bit. Okay, I don't know. Hold on just a second. Okay, we're going to go ahead and conclude this. Unfortunately, there was a technical malfunction, but hopefully you guys got enough from this experience, and maybe we'll try to do a second portion so you guys can get the last few tidbits from her. But she has an amazing story, and I highly recommend that you go back through and listen again and take notes. And hopefully this has helped a little bit.